car, which is parked a billion miles away. So as I'm walking, I'm going to go ahead and start talking to you about stuff. So here it goes. First and foremost, I want to say hello, everybody. It's good to have Happy Wednesday. It's a day off for me, so I'm actually going to the car, and I brought one of my gremlins with me. I brought Croc Duck with me, and he's what he calls pretty much. He's one of my gremlins, so I'll take him along so you can actually have somebody else to look at instead of just me. But what I want to talk to you about today is, well, the conversation was about I was just listening to this guy. He was sharing about how make sure the volume's high. He was sharing about how when you go to work and the stuff you do at work, you really have to work smarter. That that the companies that you work for, they don't really care about they do care about you getting the job done. But when you start becoming an overachiever, you start asking yourself for some trouble that you really shouldn't invite yourself into. Hey, Peter. Good to see you. You're doing well. Good to see you. Have a good day. And so what happens is this, right? I'm walking right now. It's about, I'm not even sure what time it is actually, but I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that are on my mind. So here we go. First and foremost is you have the thing where if you work your job, you are running the risk of running into different situations where people are, they may not be happy with your performance, Because I remember I used to work, my wife and I, right, we worked in a church situation, right? And we did that for many years. And what we ended up figuring out was that when we came fresh out of Bible school, and we were all about trying to do another ministry, like a street preaching type ministry. And what happened was we were doing that for a number of years. In the process of doing it, we had this thing where we were we went to work at a local church. And because we were kind of like a power couple, and we did a lot of things, and we were getting a lot of stuff done, things that programs we never did before, like Vacation Bible School, that they did take care of. It was always one of those things where I think what ended up happening was that we kind of showed up some of the people. And I feel as though because we did that, we were secretly hated because of what we were doing. And that's kind of the thing, because you start thinking about how it is. People don't like being showed up, And we weren't trying to. We're trying to be more efficient. For example, when you're a kid, right? Your parents are always telling you about do their dishes. Well, I mean, in my situation when I was growing up, it was do the dishes, do it faster. You have more work and stuff to do, right? You're always trying to get more stuff done with the time we had, because when you get stuff done, you get to do more things, So, for example, if you get a chance to actually get stuff done, then you get to have more fun doing stuff. For example, you get to go play video games, or you get to go read some books, or get to go out and play with your friends when you get your chores done. So you get your chores done as quick as you can, as quick as possible, then you go do other things. Not so much so with work. When you go to work, right? Work, you're there for 8 hours. And when you get there, it was it doesn't matter what job you do. It really doesn't. At first, I used to think that it was something where if you worked a job, right? You work a job, and the job you work, you do the best efficiency you possibly can. What ends up happening is that, you get penalized for that. You really do. At first, it's you start thinking, block the wind. At first, you're thinking that what happens is you're thinking that you're gonna accomplish more for the company, make the company a better place. What ends up happening is that you start showing people up, and people start looking at you funny and start thinking, hey, why are you still doing that? Because if you can do something and get it accomplished in a 1 hour, that'll take you everybody else 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours to do. What sometimes ends up happening is that you start getting more responsibilities. You start getting more responsibilities from the people, because what happens is the job, they say, oh, well, you can do one, then you can definitely do two. And if you can do two, they're gonna make you do four, and a whole bunch of other stuff too, So that's how it is, in terms of how these things work. Because what happens is this, right? The more efficient you become, the more work they have to make you do. So my thought is, I remember when I first started working at every job I've ever worked at, right? I always try to be the best good testimony I can be. I try to be the best person I could be. I try to do exactly what I can to try and make situations better for everybody. But what happens is eventually you get to the point where you're just they are the people that you work with, they get upset with you. They might like it because you're helping them, but then you're kind of showing them up. To eventually you kind of find a happy place. I was working a hardware store. I was working with a hardware store. There was an aspect where it's I remember first time working there, I was working I had already been working a number of years doing things like, for example, number of years doing things I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello, Jeanette. Oh, cool. Where are you? I'm in New York City. I'm in New York City. So okay, so here's what happens, right? Hey, good. Hey, Jeanette. Okay, so what happens is like I am walking across the street now. So anyway, so what happens is this, right? I am trying to tell this little story about like when you start working at a job. I started working, they put me in a parking lot. Even though I had experience for so many years working like in a management, working like in all these other jobs, they stuck my butt in parking lot. And because they did that, right, what ended up happening was like I got a chance to see how the system worked and how, you know, trying to be an overachiever, trying to be a person who achieves a lot. You can see what this over here. It says, it's true, they told me the rent was overachieving. You know, so what happens is like, you know, there's a, there, as you're trying to do the work that you're doing, what happens is like you get, there's overachieving, it's got you to do more work. So when I first started working there, it was like I was working with the shopping carts and moving the shopping carts to help people load their cars. And then it became Christmas trees, right? And then, you know, they saw that, hey, you know, you don't belong in a parking spot. But I was like, 10 months of working in the parking lot, even though I had experience, you know, a lot of experience to do all these different things. They put me, right? They moved me over to the garden department. And so I was able to work in the garden department for a number of years, right? A number of years in the garden department. And then and eventually I started moving into like doing inventory. And then the pandemic happened. So that was something there. But the lesson I had learned, I remember like I was doing all this work, and every single time they do work, they always kind of want to have you do more work because they're trying to get more. They realize that you're a smart person, that you're you know, pretty intelligent, you're able to do stuff. And what ends up happening is that they're like, you know what, if you can do one, you definitely can do two. But what I was listening to a guy, I think his name is Robert Gilbert, but he was just speaking, and I just started watching his stuff, and his stuff is so good. He started talking about like how being a good worker is being a slow worker. He said about, it's not like quiet quitting, you know? It's not that thing where they're doing the quiet quitting stuff, but it's more or less along the lines where, you know, when you're doing the work. Hey, dude. Good day. Good day. Doing good. Hey, dude. And so what happens is like, when you're doing your work, you do your work to the best of your ability, but you don't do it too fast. Because if you do your work too fast, they're gonna look like you're not doing any work, and they're trying to give you more work to do. And so, I don't know, I mean, I never learned that. I would always learn when I was a kid that you do your stuff, once you get it done, you're free to go. That's why we were concerned about the whole thing regarding homeschooling. Like, see, when you do homeschool, you can get all your stuff done in like 2-3 hours, as opposed to 8 hours of school. Imagine all these kids going to school for like 40 hours a week, right? And just wasting their time. Going to stupid school. And they can learn all that stuff in like 2 hours. They can learn their math, learn their science, all that. And they're not even allowed to interact, not even allowed to play. All the people the same age. You know, where in life will we ever be with people the same age again, you know? I just put... Thank you, Jeanette. I appreciate that. And so what happens is like, we have a scenario where when you're going through the situation, right, of life, you are faced with, you can do stuff so much quicker. So it's kind of like, you know, efficiency is not a key for work. For work, it's about doing a task because we've been trained from our school system to actually, you know, do disjointed things that don't make sense into a total whole. I agree. I used to get sleepy through school. In school, I like school. You know, I really did like school. And so, yeah, it's like school has been one of those things. I mean, like I liked school. I liked it because of the fact of learning stuff. There were times I remember there was a really cool class we took in high school, right? And the high school I went to was I went to John Brown High School, right? And there, the emphasis was becoming like a veterinarian. It was a school for writing, and also there was a pre-veterinarian school. And part of the situation there was that you had to be able to learn how to actually take care of animals as well as take care of plants and stuff like that, you know? And so when you did that, what happened was like you were forced to learn plant science and animal science. And on a dairy farm, though, there was a guy, one of my shop classes in high school. I don't remember if it's high school or junior high school at this point, but it was a guy, and he had a shop class, and he was talking about tools and crafts and stuff. And he was the most boring teacher ever. I mean, he talked about craftsman tools. He talked about how tools work and how these different things. He was just so tiresome. Like, he hated his job. I mean, it was horrible. They said that some of the people who are school teachers, they're, I mean, God bless them all. God bless all the school teachers, he said. But also, I say that too, because my mom was a school teacher. But for the most part, there was some of them, they just, I mean, they're doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can with the skills they got. But for the most part, though, I mean, they say when you run into a student who knows more than you do, you're kind of in a situation. You're kind of in a serious situation. So what happens is, like, I'm gonna walk into my car. I'm gonna take my wifey to the hospital. She's not feeling so good, so I'm just trying to walk real quick. Um, but the thing is, like, my scenario is like just trying to figure out, when you work, right, you got to work smart, because, I started a new job, and I've been working on it for almost 2 months now. And this new job, it's like, I like it. It's very simple. I've done a lot more complicated jobs. I like it, but the thing is, like at every other job, they start realizing, Greg, you're pretty smart. And I'm like, oh, dag. And you're trying your best not to be too smart. And that's the thing. I mean, I guess that's what it is, because when I used to do roadie and do DoorDash, because, I mean, when you do roadie and DoorDash, you get your stuff done. Let's see, I agree. I used to be, and now I'm, yes. You see? That's the thing. It's like sometimes you take something that's simple and you get it done, and it's like it's much simpler because you ask yourself, let me keep challenging myself. There is a part of challenging yourself. And I wonder, Jeanette, did we ever meet before? Because I know a friend of mine who was named Jeanette. Same name. We've met many times, and she's a good friend of mine. She lives here in New York. I wonder if we're the same person, but I don't know. Maybe you're not. So, but hey, there's many Greg Valentines in the world, right? So anyway, so what happens is there's an aspect where it's like, you go into this thing, and as you're going to this thing, you realize that that sometimes you do a job that fulfills you, but you're there to do a job, So do the job. The guy was saying about don't volunteer for stuff. Don't put yourself in a situation, because when you start realizing that you're smart, you start giving you more jobs to do. And eventually what happens is that you have so many jobs that you're doing that you can't get all the jobs done that you're supposed to have done. And eventually it works against you, And never forget that. Never forget that. That's some of the things about, situations there. It's like when you're faced with working many jobs, you have to definitely take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, you end up having a situation where you're going to be in trouble if you don't get all your jobs done. Now, the job I'm starting to work now, it's like when I first got there, it was for one job. And now I'm up to 2 jobs that I really didn't sign up for, but, it got me doing that. So if they keep going to more jobs, it's like it ends up being one of those things where you can get into trouble if you don't keep juggling the plates right, So, but then again, you go to work for money, and that's what you do. Beware of the people you work with. I like my coworkers. I've always liked my coworkers. I've always liked the people I worked with, even when I worked in the church system. Same thing, same kind of scenario, same kind of situation. And what happens is that when you get to a certain point, you realize you're going to be fighting with the management. It's just the way it works. We always end up fighting with the management. And it's not because we don't like the people or like the leadership. It's just because, we were programmed to be efficient, so you don't waste time. Life is precious, So when you start going to a situation where they want you to do something you can do in 5 minutes, but take 8 hours to do it, and you protest against that, you kind of start, because you start messing with the management. So you have that. Like, for example, how long it takes to make one of these? It takes some time, it takes some skill. Just because you get something done and quick doesn't mean you're wasting time if you don't get it, if you get it done quick. Somebody said, if I could do something in 30 minutes, because it took me 10 years to learn it. 10 years to learn it, so I could do it in 30 minutes. I'm at my car. So here am I at the pier. All right, and so I finally got to it. So again, let me show you this car. You guys, those of you who haven't seen it yet, let me show you this cool car. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Oh. Let me show you this cool car. Let me flip it real quick so you can see. Yeah, this is our new car. We haven't put any cool bumper stickers on it yet. Trying to show my license plate, but for the most part, I still show it anyway. Here's my cool car, and this is where I got to do some work on it. But yeah, for the most part, this is our new Roadster. We got it all figured out, all completed, all done. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump on in. So here we go. We're gonna jump on in. Here am I. I'm gonna put you back here. Right. I gotta steal my jacket because it's stinking hot. Whew. So yeah, for the most part though, it's like, I look at stuff and I constantly think about a lot of things, right? Because I mean that's how you do. You think about a lot of stuff. One of the things I think about is how, the balance. Because as a Christian, I learned you're supposed to do everything as unto the Lord. Everything you do is unto the Lord for His glory, for His honor, right? And so you don't do anything. You don't do anything for the glory of self. What you do is that you do stuff so that His name be glorified. People look to you and they respect you, and you're trying to give glory and honor to God. And so what ends up happening is that you are you're facing a situation where now let me turn this off. Just off. Yeah, it needs to be off. Okay, so you're facing a situation where you are trying to give glory to God, trying to be honorable, and trying to be a good citizen of America, right? And what ends up happening is that you put yourself in an awkward situation where you actually work against your coworkers. You're not accomplishing the task the boss wants you to do, right? And then on top of that, when they come to fire you, which they do, you do your job well, you start realizing that probably the best thing for you to do is to work your own job. And I've been working my own art. I've been doing my own artwork and doing my own stuff, for a couple years now, So when I make my cool animations and I make my cool situations, what ends up happening is it's hard time because sometimes you don't get the money that you're looking for. You don't get the money that you're looking for, and because you're used to working the system. You're used to working the system that you work when you come to just doing the job, doing the work that's like the stuff that you do. So when you work a 9-to-5 job, all right, you work a 40-hour week job, you at the end of the week, regardless of what you do, you get the same number of paycheck. All you have to do is just don't be late, be there on time, work, do your work, don't get beat up or attacked by a coworker, things like that. You maintain, you do what you're supposed to do, and don't do it too quickly. You gotta look busy, because if you're not looking busy, what happens is that they're gonna assume that you're not doing anything, and so because of that, you're kind of in a pickle. You're in a weird conundrum. So what you have to do is that you have to definitely work well, work smart. But if you work your own business, it's probably the best thing you have to do, because when you do that, you get to do as much that you're in charge of for the glory of God as much as you can. That's it. Wow. Anyway, so what happens is this, right? I am driving. I'm going to be back to my place soon, and so with that, I'm just letting you know that it's like one of those things that I'm constantly thinking about what to do. I'm going to make another video tomorrow when I'm going to be working on some sculptures and stuff. But for the most part, though, it's like I have a thing where I have more sculptures in the works. I have to make a couple of people sculptures, and I have a couple of thank you sculptures I'm working on. And then I'm going to take my sweetie to the hospital. She has a hurt tooth, so I'm gonna help her out. But I gotta get back to the house, and I thought I'd just take the opportunity to kind of do this and talk while I'm doing it. So I like my job. I like my new job. I do. I like working there. Remember, it's not about efficiency. It's about every job you do. It's not about efficiency. It's about looking busy for 8 hours. So that's kind of how it is. Because at the end of the day, and if you take too much work on, you can just ask for trouble. Because at the end of the day, it's really, they're not gonna really care if you do more work. Because if you show people too much, you start making, and especially if you get promoted, now you're gonna do the job even better. You're gonna make the job even better, and you're gonna make people realize that hey, this guy can do the job even better than us. You're gonna be a threat. So I don't know if that's good advice, but that's advice that I just kind of heard and kind of processing through. I think also you shouldn't be too good with something unless, of course, it's like, for example, you should be good at sharing the gospel and telling people about Jesus. If anything you should do, let people know that for sure. what you should not be good at doing is getting all caught up with all the specific doctrines. There comes to a level where you have to kind of be acceptable and say, I'm good with this. You know, I remember my older sister was like, she was the, my older sister, she was super smart, right? She was a super smart person. And she got so tightly wound that something snapped, you know, in her mind. I don't know what it was. I don't know how it happened. But for her, she had a snapping situation where she didn't like bounce back from it, you know. She was so smart. She was like valedictorian. She was salutatorian in college. She was smart, super smart. And then one day she just something. I think it could have been chemicals. You know, it could have been chemicals in terms of like, you know, when you do like a lot of like works and stuff, you actually put yourself like chemical works and you work really hard. You try to be the best. Sometimes you actually put yourself in a situation of harm, and that's something that, I mean, you couldn't be the best. Do whatever you like. Be the best. You know, like be the best air traffic controller you can be. I mean, you have to. Lives depend on it. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you know, there comes a part where you have to be acceptable and say, I accept what I'm doing, and I can't go any further with this. And the guy was saying that you should actually do a thing where you do every 2 years or so, you switch to another job. You know, I have it down to like 4 years. I have it down to 4 years, right? For me personally, it's 4 years. I've done every job I've ever worked has been about 4 years, except for when I do my home business and when I worked in ministry. Ministry, when I did for about 10 years. When I work in home business, we've been doing it for about 21 years now. Of working on home business, it's transformed different types of flavors, you know. But for the most part, though, it has been like one of those things where we are, you know, you are constantly learning. You're constantly learning, but you're also learning that, you know what, best thing if you're gonna work on something, work on yourself, work on your family. You know, don't go working on other people's projects to the point where, you know, you start feeling some kind of way, because that'll get you. That will seriously get you. You know, here am I in my house, and I gotta call me wifey, and so this is me getting here. You know, I just want to say thank you all for watching. Definitely thank you for giving me a thumbs up in the chat. I like that. It has been one of those things. You know, I have to like kind of like what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave this here. You're gonna see the gremlin. I can keep talking to you because what happens is like my Bluetooth is still here. So I'm gonna turn the car for a second. All right, turn the car. You can still hear me. So I'm gonna leave the car right now. I'll be right back. Good. So here am I, back in the car again, and I'm gonna take this thing from here and move it back over here, because what happens, I'm actually coming in a second, and I'm gonna put it to the front of the car. So here's the front of the car. It's actually pretty cool. I might actually just keep using this thing. Shout out to you, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. You know, for the whole walking with the stick thing. That's pretty cool. All right, so I agree. I used to be RN. Now I'm a crossing guard since I retired. Yeah. Thank you for putting a like on my video. All right, cool beans. I'm gonna have to end the video here. Just wanted to let you guys know. Let me start the car up real quick. I'm gonna take my wifey to the doctor. All right, so God bless you, and talk to you soon. All right, I'll have another video tomorrow with some cool art. For you. With some cool art for you. And yes, the selfie stick rules. It does. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna get back to you. So talk to you soon. Do cool videos like how you do cool videos, right? So talk to you soon, and God bless you. All right, bye.